Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Here's today's card for you. It uses Waterfront, which is in the Occasions catalog. I have seen some gorgeous projects with this, and it can be used to make a beach scene, a mountain scene, a river scene, and it's got lots of great sentiments. One problem I found was how to describe how I made the project, because we've got all these different swoosh kind of stamps. So on my directions, I have labeled those, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, just so I can be clear which one I'm talking about. My card base is Emerald Envy, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, just a standard card base. I have a layer of Whisper White that's 3 3/4 by 5. This will go on the inside of the card. I have another piece that is 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. A piece of Whisper White that's 1 1/2 by 3. I also have just a tiny bit of this lovely shimmer pool party ribbon. It's 3/8 inch wide. I have lots of colors I used. I used Dapper Denim, So Saffron, Emerald Envy, Tranquil Tide, Pool Party, and Chocolate Chip. I don't often copy projects. I usually come up with my own designs, but in this case I am pretty much copying this card on page 48 of the Occasions catalog. I am making a few changes. I'm changing out the colors. Instead of the sentiment, I'm using this stamp. I'm using Pool Party ink. This is a photopolymer stamp, so I'm bringing in my Stampin' Pierce mat. And I will be going off the edge, so I'm bringing in a scrap piece of paper. So I'm using Pool Party, and I'm kind of doing a pattern. I'm going to use that triangle shape to hit the corners of the card front. It's really going to be a subtle design. It's a little bit more bold when the ink is wet. It will lighten up as it dries. And then I'm also stamping in this area. The center of the card will be covered up, so I'm not worried about stamping there. I'm going to use that same stamp and the same ink color on my 3 1/4 by 3 3/4 Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to turn so that that corner is to the bottom and the top is about halfway in that card. Next, I'm using this stamp. I'm calling this the number 1 stamp, and I'm stamping it in Emerald Envy, and I'm turning it around so that the thicker part is on the right. And this will be my grass. I think I want to stamp off just lightly. And these are actually very close in color. You could probably get away with using just Pool Party there. Next, I'm using the number 2 stamp, and I'm using that with Dapper Denim. And that will go kind of between these two pieces here. I'm stamping that same stamp on the lower right of the inside of the card. I'm going to use the speckled stamp with Emerald Envy ink just to add a little sparkle. You can use a lot or a little of this, totally up to you. Moving on to my mountain stamp, I'm calling this number 3 in Chocolate Chip ink. Then this sun image in So Saffron. Up above the mountain. Then I've got trees that I'm going to use Tranquil Tide to stamp. And they will go up here. So if this is the water and this is the grass, they need to go up in the grass. They're in the foreground. And I'm going to stamp those same trees on the inside of the card. Then I have the greeting, every little kindness makes the world brighter. And I'm stamping that about 3/4 of an inch down from the top of this smaller Whisper White piece. Then I think my stamping's done. So I'll pull this out and bring in my silicone mat and my adhesive. I suppose before I put the ribbon on, I should use the triple banner punch. This punch is designed to cut 1, 1.5, and 2-inch strips. So I have the 1.5, so it fits right between there. I want to cut the bottom of the banner, so I'm putting it in bottom first. And I love it because it cuts a perfectly even banner every time. And now I want to put the ribbon, I'm just going to wrap the ribbon around this top. So I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive in the middle to hold the ribbon down. And then some adhesive on the back side here. And that silicone mat makes that easy, so I don't have to worry about my adhesive sticking to anything. As I wrap it around, I'm angling it down a little bit so it doesn't show from the front. Then I just need to put the inside on the inside. I'm using dimensionals on this piece. I usually like to put one in the middle just to make sure that that center is supported. So I'm centering that so that there's about a 1/2 inch border on the top and the sides. And then the banner will go directly onto this part. There's kind of an empty spot here, making sure that you're not going down too far. And I do want to hang over the edge some. And there it is. This card does use lots of colors, but the rest of it is really simple. No fancy tools. You could cut this banner without the punch, but the punch sure makes it easier. I think that this is a great beginner card. If you would like the directions for this card, come on over to bevadams.com. I'll put the direct link for this project onto the video. I will also have a link to all the products that I used for this project. I would like to thank you for stopping by. Talk to you soon.